Oh fuck. In the modern age of entertainment, remakes and reboots are aplenty, but some games out there really deserve that remake potential. Resident Evil 2 was definitely one of them. This is Resident Evil 2 Remake. Don't go away. Oh, Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is the fourth time or third time I played through the remake. I played through when it first came out in 2019, I played through Leon A, Claire B. Then I just immediately went back and did Claire A and Leon B. I did some of the side stuff, and now, 3 years later, on road to Resident Evil 8, I've been playing through all the Resident Evils. I've made it to Resident Evil 2 Remake, and yeah, this was no joke. This was better than I had previously played. The coolest part of all this is that I played Resident Evil 2 Remake before I ever played the original. A couple months ago, I played the original for the first time, so now I really get to see the transition to Remake. And I have to admit, there's a lot of stuff that is could be there, but I honestly don't have a lot to complain about because there's so much that's good. With the remake coming out about 20 years later after the original, you get modern controls, which means modern aiming. Now, okay, the aiming for original Resident Evils, like Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3 is you just point your gun, you got 3 directions, up, down, or middle, and then you fire a gun. And the only sort of RNG cool thing would be if you get a headshot. And as far as the remake is considered, the aiming and shooting is actually very satisfying. Just sort of a built-in anti-button spam recoil mechanic where your iron sights have to set. Okay, Leon or Claire can aim, and it takes about a second, and then your iron sights sort of narrow in for that precision shot. That's fucking luckier. You can still, spam, it's just going to be not as accurate, not even close. And I like that because it forces the player to not just murder a zombie, you have to actually kind of be afraid because they do kind of move fast in this game at times and you can't spam. So you have to shoot, wait, while he's walking towards you.
Son of a bitch.
Not only can you just explode their heads as you could in the original, their limbs are pretty much detachable. Whatever ragdoll physics they used for this game was perfect because you could shoot their legs off, you could shoot their arms, and that could come in play later because you could just knife a zombie's legs off, go in, go do some puzzles, come back, and the zombie's still there except he's crawling around. As far as weapons is considered, you have Leon versus Claire's. On Leon's side, you have like the basic pistol. Actually, you get 2 pistols, which I found was very odd. You get the shotgun that isn't nearly as cool as the original. You also get the Magnum and also the flamethrower. On Claire's side, you have actually a pretty cool like revolver type pistol, which can later be upgraded to use high powered pistol bullets, which pretty much turns it into like a half Magnum. You have the TMP, you have the shotgun, and of course you have the classic grenade launcher. Something that I wish they would have done in the remake though is have better ammo crafting. I wish they would have took what Resident Evil 3 did, because Resident Evil 3 was so fun in the ammo crafting department. It was just, you could make what you want. And in the remake, for Resident Evil 2 Remake at least, there was ammo crafting. You have high powered gunpowder and regular gunpowder. But that's it. You could craft, if you're Claire, you could craft handgun ammo, or you could craft acid rounds, or you could craft machine gun rounds. I wish there was more options though. What if I wanted freeze rounds for my grenade launcher? What if I wanted explosive rounds? I think there should have been just a little bit more there.
Yeah, too bad.
Arguably the biggest difference between the remake and the original is how the side stories plays. Now, I have good and bad stuff to talk about here. Now, I don't really want to make this whole review of the remake about the original and it being a comparison, but isn't that what a remake's supposed to be? How could I not draw comparisons to the original? As far as Sherry is concerned, I think it's an upgrade. I wish there was a little bit more to do. It was a little too linear for me. But overall, the differences between Sherry's side story thing and the modern side story thing is good. Ada's, on the other hand, is bad. I said this in my original review, which, by the way, this is my second time reviewing this game on the channel. Playing through Ada on Resident Evil 2 Remake is not that fun, honestly. You get this, like, goofy gadget that you can hack through walls, electronic devices, okay? You spin fans until they explode, okay? You're not injured by shrapnel, though. You jump down. You have to fight Mr. X at one point. There's a boss, but the boss is just exploding more electrical units in the wall. Whereas in the original, it was a lot more straightforward. It was a lot more simple. It was a lot more fun, I would say. I definitely prefer the original there. Another thing that I prefer the original in, at least, is Mr. X, and I know I'm on the wrong side of this, I'm pretty sure, but Mr. X plays a much more considerable role here in the remake. It was honestly surprising when I went to play the original for the first time, because I thought Mr. X is such a huge thing, especially in Leon's campaign, that he was not really in the game. He was quite a side thing. At first, Mr. X is very cool. He's very, you know, it's kind of scary. He jump scares you and stuff. But after you get used to it, especially for someone like me who just doesn't care, like if there's a giant, you know, 8-foot tall monster running behind me, I don't care. I'm not nervous or scared or anything. It's just, to me, a hindrance and an annoyance. Claire. I would much rather have the atmosphere of trying to walk through a hallway where a liquor is, instead of what I had to do at one point was, I knew there was a liquor in this room and I got forced out of it into somewhere where I didn't want to be because Mr. X was on my ass. I would have much rather had that intense 1v1 against 1 or 2 liquors than just run away, you know, hold forward against Mr. X, because that's pretty much all you do. Time to really see what Claire's made out of. As much as the core gameplay is similar, there's a lot of small stuff in Resident Evil 2 Remake that make it very fun. Survival items and boards. Now, you can board up windows, which help you in the future. You don't get an infinite amount of boards, so you get to choose what you want to do, which is kind of cool. Survival items are honestly one of my favorite things in the game. The knife acts as a knife, but it can break, which is okay. I absolutely hate it when weapons break in games or you have to repair weapons. I'm looking at you, Dark Cloud, you piece of garbage game. 2 of the survival items you get is a hand grenade and a flashbang, and when you are attacked by a zombie, you're given a prompt to use one of them if you have it equipped. And the hilarious, like, just cool thing is that you stick it in their mouth and then you shoot it and it explodes. And every time this happened, it was just so satisfying. You hit a flashbang, boom. What the? Fucking camper, bitch. Damn. There's a specific lack of puzzles in this game, where in the original there was puzzles around every corner, especially in, I believe in the library, at least in Leon's campaign, they're in the library. In order to get to the second floor, there's this puzzle you have to do. But in the Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's just, you have an item and then you just hold X to move the shelves over. I would have much rather done something interesting there. But there are other interesting things to do, such as the locker combination codes that are a lot everywhere. If you're smart enough, you can pick them out in the environment. There's a whiteboard that says CAP on it, C-A-P, that is used on a locker. Also goes the same for these little, I don't even know what you call them. I call them like music gadgets or whatever you want to call it. This is just another thing that they implemented into the game that was cool, interesting, refreshing, just overall a great decision. Luckiest fucking run ever. Now here we are on presentation. Now this is the big one. The number one thing that, if you saw a trailer for Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 2 Remake, the first thing you notice is, well, it looks different.
Obviously.
Now I want to get one thing out of the way immediately. The soundtrack. Now, as much as I absolutely love the remake, it's hindered immensely by the fact of the soundtrack swap. Resident Evil 2 soundtrack is one of, if not the best in the series. I'd have to honestly look at it because Resident Evil music as a whole is always pinpoint. The problem is that in Resident Evil 2 Remake, they offer you to use the soundtracks from the original, but that was a pre-order bonus. And I believe you have to purchase it. If you did not pre-order it, you can purchase the soundtrack swap in the store. So technically, it's a bonus, not part of the actual game, which makes the actual game extremely less characteristic. There was so many times when I was walking around, I'd be like, oh, I wonder what the remake soundtrack is. So I would swap from the original to the regular soundtrack, and there was nothing. And nothing. And nothing. Even the menu sounds are bland, boring, vanilla. Swap back to the original, there's character breathing out of every room. The menu sounds great again. Now, I wouldn't be so harping on this if it wasn't an add-on. I honestly don't know if it's like, if they have made it free or if you still have to buy it in the store. I would have just used the original soundtracks anyway. I wouldn't even made it a soundtrack swap. It would have been, this is the soundtrack. I literally cannot imagine playing through this game without the soundtrack swap. Seriously. Music is so underestimated in creating atmosphere and the character of the game. It's truly insane. Now, normally I don't highlight graphics really at all, as it's not that big of a thing to me. Obviously, if I was rating this game on graphics, does it look better than the original? Yeah, but the cool thing that I like is that for 2019, this is one of the best looking games I've ever played. The way that rain settles on a character and how it like glistens off, the way that fire looks, I mean, this game looks really damn good. Because of the updated graphics, it gives more life to characters, and this is really where I think it one-ups the original. Take the main characters for example, Leon and Claire. I think Leon is a heck of a lot better than he was in the original, and I think Claire was 10 times better than she was in the original. Claire comes off, with the voice acting combined and how she looks, she comes off extremely badass and confident. I mean, take this scene for example. Claire, who in the game is 19 years old, and she's jumping into this boss fight with the stage like 4 or 5 G virus, and doesn't even bat an eye. No hesitation at all. Claire Redfield is a star in this game.
You should take care of Sherry. You don't know what you're up against. I have a pretty damn good idea. Whatever you do, don't stop until it's finished. Trust me. This ends now.
I think pretty much everybody else gets a boost character-wise as well. Although I will say, I wish that Annette got more screen time along with William Birkin. Even though there's a lot more life in the updated graphics, I feel like we got more scenes in the original. For them playing such a huge part in Raccoon City and Sherry as well, who comes back in Resident Evil 6, I kind of wish we got a little bit more of that. The atmosphere of the RPD is matched, and that is very important, because in the original, it was one hell of a place to play through. And in the remake, all the small details combined between zombies around every corner, zombies banging on windows, banging on doors to bust through. I mean, that's just some of my favorite things in this game. All the small things in this game are so nice. That's fucking lucky here. Small details in this game for presentation. Herbs look pretty bland in my opinion. I wish they would just go with Resident Evil 4's look. Gun sounds are a bit downgraded in my opinion, and if you don't believe me, this is the Resident Evil 2 remake shotgun. And this is the original shotgun.
I think back's a punch, huh?
Another thing that I found quite hilarious is the knife animations. They just look a little, yeah. Bro, I'm about ammo conservation in here. So for overall impact, I do have to say this is how you do a remake. Okay, every company out there who's doing remakes on games, take this as the way to do it. Every game I want remade out there, like Argument RTS or Gauntlet Dark Legacy, I want in this style. Just rebuild the game 90% the same. And the 10% you can either add 10% or you could swap something out. Because if you make the game the exact same except for only updated visuals, well, that's a remaster. But as remakes go, I feel like this is the rubric. Something I wish they never cut though was the cool spider in that room. That was one of the weirdest, most fun things to do in the game, is just Leon. I walked in as Leon and there was just this spider on the wall sitting there, and I was like, well, I better kill it. Something that really strikes me in the end is that this is overall a good game on its own. And what I mean by that is that if you stripped the Resident Evil title off, if you took that marketing of Resident Evil out, I think this game would be hugely successful either way. Like if this was marketed as the story of Leonard and Clarice, I feel like this game would still be successful. So with that being said, looking at the numbers, we are looking at a solid 9.1 out of 10. So that's it. Resident Evil 2 Remake is done. We have, what do we got left? Revelations 2, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Resident Evil 6. Then I can do Resident Evil 8. As far as Resident Evil 2 Remake goes, the only thing I have to say is Claire and Leon. Who's your go-to? But for now, I'm your host, Single Player Entertainment, and I hope you enjoy this review. Peace out. Fucking, I whiffed every shot except for the final half. What the? What is up? I know what you're thinking. You're only here for the bonus Easter egg soundtrack I put in at the end of every video. But did you also know I have a donation page under Buy Me a Coffee? Donate whatever you want to my channel and I'll put half of that back to an environmental charity. So that's that. Enjoy the music. Peace out.